What if I told you there's a plant so powerful at healing broken bones, torn ligaments, and damaged joints that medieval surgeons called it Knitbone? A plant used continuously for over 3,000 years, documented in ancient Greek medicine, Roman field hospitals, and every European monastery garden up until the 20th century. And what if I told you that right now, in 2024, you cannot legally buy it for internal use anywhere in the United States because the EFTA banned it? Not because it doesn't work, not because science disproved it, but because one study, funded in the 1970s, fed rats an extract at doses thousands of times higher than any human would ever consume, and some of them developed liver tumors. And that was enough. The plant was buried, the patents filed, the pills sold. Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to learn about Comfrey and why it was really taken off the shelves is going to change the way you look at every plant the EFTA has ever warned you about. Let's start at the beginning. Comfrey. Latin name, Symphytum officinale. The word symphytum comes from the Greek symphio, meaning to make grow together. That name isn't poetic, it's clinical. The Greeks named it that because they watched it work. For 3,000 years, across dozens of completely separate civilizations, people observed the same thing. Apply Comfrey to a broken bone, a torn muscle, a sprained joint, and it heals faster, dramatically faster. Roman legions carried it into battle. When a soldier broke a bone in the field, far from any doctor, they packed the wound with Comfrey poultice and wrapped it. They called it conferva, from the Latin to boil together. Same meaning, same observation. By the Middle Ages, Comfrey was so established in European medicine that it was considered a foundational crop. Every monastery had a Comfrey garden. Every peasant farmer knew it. It was grown alongside food crops, not because it was pretty, but because it was medicine. Herbalists of the 15th and 16th centuries documented it for broken bones, fractures, sprains, arthritis, back pain, stomach ulcers, respiratory problems, skin wounds. And here's the thing. This wasn't superstition. Modern science actually validated the mechanism. Comfrey contains a compound called allantoin. Allantoin stimulates cell proliferation, literally accelerating the rate at which your cells divide and repair themselves. It's so effective that allantoin is now used in pharmaceutical skin creams and wound healing products. The industry extracted the active compound, synthesized it, patented it, and kept selling it back to you. They didn't ban allantoin. They banned the plant. Let's talk about what the research actually shows, not what the EFTA says about it. A 2004 randomized controlled trial published in Phytomedicine compared Comfrey root extract cream against a standard anti-inflammatory drug for ankle sprains. The Comfrey group showed significantly faster reduction in swelling, pain, and restoration of mobility. A 2012 study in the journal Complementary Medicine Research found Comfrey root extract was more effective than diclofenac gel, a common prescription anti-inflammatory, for treating back pain. Multiple European studies on bone fracture recovery showed measurable acceleration in callus formation, the biological process of bone knitting back together, in patients using Comfrey preparations compared to controls. Germany's Commission E, the scientific body that evaluates herbal medicines, approved Comfrey root extract for external use for exactly these indications. It's sold openly in German pharmacies today. The European Medicines Agency reviewed the evidence and confirmed topical Comfrey is effective and safe for musculoskeletal pain, sprains, and bruises. So the science is there. The mechanism is understood. The clinical trials support it. Then why is it banned in the US for internal use? Here's where it gets interesting. The concern about Comfrey centers on a class of compounds called pyrrolizidine alkaloids, PAs. PAs in high doses can be toxic to the liver. In the 1970s and 80s, a series of studies fed rats concentrated PA extracts, not whole Comfrey, but isolated alkaloid concentrates, at doses that would be the equivalent of a human drinking dozens of cups of Comfrey tea every single day for years. Under those conditions, yes, liver tumors appeared in rats. The EFTA used those studies to justify banning internal Comfrey products in 2001. But here's what they didn't tell you. 1. Pyrrolizidine alkaloids are found in hundreds of plants worldwide, including plants the FDA has never touched. Honey made from certain wildflowers contains PAs. Herbal teas sold in every grocery store contain trace PAs. The FDA hasn't banned any of those. 2. The doses used in the rat studies were astronomically higher than traditional use. Traditional Comfrey tea drinkers consumed the plant for short periods, not continuously for years. The dose makes the poison, as every toxicologist will tell you. 3. Comfrey leaves contain significantly lower PA levels than the root. Young leaves contain even less. Traditional herbalists always knew this and always specified it in their preparations. The nuance was erased when the FDA issued a blanket ban. 4. In the same year the FDA issued its warning and major U.S. suppliers pulled Comfrey from shelves, several pharmaceutical companies were filing patents on isolated allantoin derivatives and novel compounds based on Comfrey's active constituents. Coincidence? You decide. Meanwhile, stay till the end. I'm going to show you what traditional herbalists actually recommend and how Comfrey has been safely used externally for centuries. So what did traditional healers actually do with Comfrey? External use was always the primary application, and it's the one that has survived even the FDA's restrictions. You can legally grow Comfrey in your garden. You can make a poultice. You can apply it topically. Nobody can stop you. Here's what 3,000 years of practical knowledge look like. Comfrey poultice for sprains and fractures. Fresh or dried Comfrey leaves were mashed or blended into a paste, applied directly to the skin over the affected area, and wrapped with cloth. Left on for several hours or overnight. Repeated daily. Comfrey infused oil. Dried Comfrey root or leaves were steeped in olive or coconut oil for 4 to 6 weeks, then strained. Applied topically to joints, muscles, and bruises. The oil carries allantoin and other compounds transdermally, through the skin directly to damaged tissue. Comfrey salve. The infused oil was combined with beeswax to create a salve, the medieval equivalent of what you'd now pay $35 for in a pharmacy under a brand name that quietly lists allantoin in the ingredients. The key traditional rule was always this: external use is primary. Short-term internal use was used for stomach ulcers and respiratory issues, but always for limited periods, never long-term, and always using young leaves rather than concentrated root. 3,000 years of accumulated clinical observation, encoded in a simple set of practical rules, quietly buried by a single regulatory decision in 2001. Comfrey is still here. It still grows. It still works. You can grow it in a pot on your balcony. The knowledge wasn't destroyed. It was just made inconvenient. If this video opened your eyes to what's been sitting in the soil all along, hit subscribe, because every week I dig up another plant that history remembered and the modern system forgot. The next one might be growing in your backyard right now. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.